One on Sunday that he had no problem with Russia delivering oil to Cuba. Standing through a doorway, Trump shared more comments on the situation to reporters.
It's not going to have an impact. Cuba's finished. They have a bad regime. They have very bad and corrupt leadership. And whether or not they get a boat of oil, it's not going to matter.
Audio courtesy of CBS Miami on YouTube. Just over a week ago, the U.S. Treasury Department added Cuba to a list of countries barred from receiving oil deliveries from Russia, according to BBC News. It is unsure whether the loosening of the restrictions is a temporary fix or a permanent shift, but the tensions of the U.S. and other nations over oil remain at the top priorities in the world's landscape. The destruction of a United States radar aircraft may impact the U.S.'s ability to detect Iranian threats. The U.S. Air Force E-3 Sentry aircraft was seen in images with a severely damaged tail and damage to its radar dome, knocking its ability to use the airborne warning and control system. According to CNN, the U.S. fleet had a limited supply of E-3 aircrafts, with only 17 on hand at the beginning of the year, based on data from FlightGlobal.com's 2026 World Air Forces Directory. The total of 17 is fewer AWACS than B-2 bombers, which the U.S. has 20 of. The targeting of the aircraft by Iranian missiles and drones indicate the high importance of intelligence and the capabilities the E-3 Sentry provided. According to what former Royal Australian Air Force officer Peter Layden said, the airborne radars exponentially increase the detection time of threats. Layden also added
to 1077 The Bronx. 26 Intercollegiate Broadcasting System Media Awards, Best On-Air Pledge Drive for our first ever Radiothon, Best Giveaway for Wake Up Riders Morning Bagel Run and Jewelry Spree, and Best Station Poster by Jake Goebel for Scream Screen. This is Alex Pinsky here with Football Squared. Welcome back, everybody, to another week of football and soccer here on the Bronx. This week we are going to be doing a mock draft in the NFL today. We are post-combine officially, and there's been a lot of shifting in terms of draft odds, projections, specifically because of combine performance. But before we get into all of that, we have a little news to cover across the league, as we always do. To start things off, a bit of Giants news here. The Giants are out of money, just about. Joe Shane did bring up the fact that we are running low, which makes sense. We've signed a ton of free agents. We've gotten a ton of depth pieces. completely new coaching staff that we had to pay. It makes sense. I get it. It sucks. I hope we can free up a little more. I doubt we get L'Jarius Sneed, who I really wanted, but it's okay. It is okay. Buccaneers linebacker Levante David officially announced his retirement. This was a crazy retirement for me because I grew up watching. Levante David was from my generation of football players, from what I remember watching when I was a kid, and he's always been a staple of the league. When you think about players that pop into your mind first when you think of the NFL, it's guys like Levante David that spend so much time on their team and are such a recognizable face in this league. He is a bona fide Hall of Famer in my eyes. And yeah, happy retirement. It's going to be weird seeing the Buccaneers defense without him. I'm still waiting for when Bobby Wagner retires. That's going to be weird, man. That's going to be really, really weird once Bobby Wagner retires. The Falcons are signing free agent running back Brian Robinson Jr., which means they now have 2 B. Robinsons on their team. So people doing fantasy drafts, be careful that you don't take Brian Robinson Jr. with your first overall pick because it is not Bijan. This is an interesting backfield now. Brian Robinson Jr. is a phenomenal power back. I feel like he's so underappreciated. And pairing him up with a guy like Bijan, it's a similar situation to what they had with Algier, but hopefully they give Bijan a heavier load of carries and more snaps and more playing time, because I understand that he was supposed to work in the unit with Algier and it worked, but Bijan with a workhorse running back kind of game load would put up such insane stats, and I was really looking forward to seeing it and seeing the stats that he put up with them. But Brian Robinson Jr. will be used where he can be. And yeah, it was a good move in my eyes by the Falcons. They get a solid backup running back just in case something happens to Bijan. After the trade fell through to the Ravens, Max Crosby not only no longer wants to be traded out of Vegas, but intends on playing there, not holding out for a contract, not doing anything like that. He is fully invested back in the Raider message, which I don't blame him, man. I've been saying it for the past couple of weeks now. The Raiders look very good. I like what they've put together a lot. I think that they have a good coaching staff headlined by their new head coach, Clint Kubiak. Their free agency signings were phenomenal. I think that they now went from having one of the worst linebacking cores in the league to having one of the best with the acquisitions of Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. I think that those are 2 incredible, versatile pickups at middle linebacker. They got Tyler Linderbaum to play center. They're going to draft Fernando Mendoza. So the Raiders are really starting to look promising, especially now that Max Crosby will be remaining with the team. The Bengals are bringing back veteran quarterback Joe Flacco to be their backup, which Joe Burrow is insanely injury prone, and Flacco has shown that he can still play a competent game of football. He was good when he started, at least relatively good considering his age. So Flacco gets to keep playing football. The Bengals get a reliable backup. It's a win-win, and I'm sure it's on a vet minimum. I doubt he's making that much money. So solid pickup by the Bengals. They reinforce their quarterback room. The Eagles sign another mid-wide receiver. They've been just signing a bunch of random dudes to one-year deals, which really makes me feel like A.J. Brown is getting closer and closer to getting traded out of Philly. But they pick up free agent wide receiver Elijah Moore. The former Jet, Bill, and Brown will be headed to Philadelphia now. Jets head coach Aaron Glenn confirmed that Geno Smith will be the team's starting quarterback for week 1 of the next season. They're gonna be terrible. I feel like the expectations have never been lower for this team. So is anyone really gonna be surprised when they do as bad as they're going to do? No. But I just think that they looked at the product that Geno gave to the Raiders last year and said, yeah, that's our guy. Why go for Kyler Murray, who we could have gotten for cheaper on a 1-year deal and had no strings attached? Why not do that, right? I don't know. I feel like the Jets had so many other options and they went with the dumbest one, which, I mean, it is the Jets. It's on par for how they usually are. We all saw this coming. The Giants are releasing kicker Graham Gano. We just brought in Jason Sanders, and Gano frees up like $5 million cap space from getting rid of him, so had to be done. I liked him a lot. He was really injury prone, which was very annoying. I mean, having an injury prone kicker is not something that you really think of, but He was, and he missed a lot of games, and he was good while he played, but he's just getting old and been hurt for way too long, so had to let him go. A little bit of draft news. Now, this didn't affect my mock draft. I honestly don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it out to be, but Clemson cornerback Avion Terrell aggravated a hamstring injury on his first run of the 40-yard dash during his private pro day. I feel like people are going to blow it out of proportions because it is an injury right before the draft, and it's a hamstring injury, which are really complicated ones to deal with because you don't know how easy it's going to be to re-aggravate them. However, I think that he's young enough still, and you find this a lot in rookies. It's why guys like Malik Neighbors and Cam Scadaboo have been able to recover in good time and be ready for next season because they are still so young, and they can still build back what they lost and recover better than when you're older and that process is slowed down. So I'm not crazy worried about this. I still think Avion Terrell is going to be a good pickup. I think that he's going to be a solid guy to grab in the mid to late first round, and you'll be able to plug him in and he'll be a solid starter from day one. And then last bit of news from around the league, the Cleveland Browns withdrew their rules change proposal that would have made it where you could trade draft picks up until 5 picks in the future. This is a good thing. I mean, in a certain view, this is a good thing. Because on one side of the argument, it's like, blockbuster trades aren't going to happen as much. We're not going to be able to see these teams giving up crazy amounts of picks just for a player or just to move up in the draft. And I get the entertainment value part of it, but teams are literally going to destroy their futures with that as a new rule if they had instated it. If you could trade draft picks up until 5 years in the future and a team went like 4 years, even 5 maybe, depending on the trade without a first round pick, if that trade doesn't work out, because there's plenty of like big blockbuster trades that haven't worked out. Look at the Russell Wilson one from the Seahawks to the Broncos. So if you do that kind of trade away all of your first round picks for the next 5 years and it doesn't work out, you're cooked. The next 5 years are just cooked. You have no first round pick. It's going to be so hard to get any young talent to develop on your team. So I'm really glad that they didn't make that a rule. It's going to keep it where the league is at least semi-normal, I guess. We've kind of lost all sense of reality, especially with last season. It was just a crazy year. But that would have just sent everything off the rails, man. But yeah. That's about it for news around the league. Free agency is cooling down, but there are still plenty of high-value guys, plenty of experienced veterans that teams could bring in and have as depth or even starting pieces. So make sure to keep a lookout and stay tuned to the show so I can update you anytime anyone else gets signed. Up next, we're going to head into our mock draft. This is going to take up the rest of this, and then after the first set of announcements. First overall pick, I think in every single one of my mocks, the first overall pick is going to be Fernando Mendoza. I can't see the Raiders doing anything different. I don't envision a world where they're that dumb unless it involved trading back and picking up a superstar QB from someone else. Or maybe even, not even a superstar, a good QB. For a team that wants to get a change, wants to make some sort of difference, and they feel like he's not cutting it for them anymore, but you could still see potential in him. That's the only way I would even fathom them trading away this pick, because it should be Fernando Mendoza. It should always be Fernando Mendoza. That's who I have them taking. My second overall pick is the same as my last one, too. I have the Jets going Arvell Reese. As badly as I do want him to fall to the Giants, it's not going to happen. He is way too good of a player. I can't envision a world where the Jets don't take Arvell Reese. Way too talented, way too deep of a bag. He can play any linebacker position and play it at an elite level. So yeah, that's a surefire pick. At 3, I have the Cardinals boosting their offensive line and going Miami offensive tackle Francis Mauigoa. There's some questions at quarterback for that team right now. And while I don't think it would necessarily be good to get the lineman to protect the quarterback you have now, I think it'd be good to get the lineman to get the quarterback that you're going to have later, because this is a very weak quarterback class. Like, I understand, I like Mendoza a lot. I think Ty Simpson has a chance to be good. I have no faith in Drew Aller, but I guess he could still be good. There's quarterbacks that could be good, but it is not like a Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Drake May, Michael Penix, like a super strong top 15 quarterback class. So I think that this would be more or less a move to protect the guy that they get next year. I do think they roll with Jacoby Brissett for this season, which I don't think is a bad option. I think Jacoby Brissett proved that he is more than solid as a starting quarterback. I just think that there's not enough draft talent to use the kind of capital that they have, the third overall pick, on any of the other quarterbacks that are going to be available other than Fernando Mendoza. So unless they get someone late and decide to start him this year, they're going to draft to prepare for next season. This is going to be a transition year, a true rebuild year for the Arizona Cardinals. They moved on from their first overall pick in Kyler Murray, and this is where their new generation starts. This is where their new era starts. And unfortunately, Cardinals fans are just going to have to deal with what's probably going to be a very crappy year of football. At 4, I have the Titans. And now, this is a pick that I was kind of debating who I thought they were going to go with. I think after the combine and after all the time that's passed since I last did this, this is definitely much more of a possibility. I have the Titans going Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame running back, at 4. I also think that Ruben Bain is a very good chance here. I think it's either going to be Love or Bain. It's definitely between those two for me. Love would complete their offense. He would be the last puzzle piece in what could be a very solid offense. It would be Cam Ward, Jeremiah Love, Chimere Dike. They kept Calvin Ridley, Alec Iomanor, whoever they get in the second or third round. It is an extremely young core that they would have that's run by an offensive coordinator who is an exciting offensive coordinator and can develop quarterbacks. Brian Daboll is the perfect option for them at coordinator, and if they get Jeremiah Love, it takes pressure off Cam Ward because he knows that he is a young, athletic, talented running back that he can give the ball to and trust to get first downs with it and not have to rely on his arm, which was a lot of what happened to the Titans, but especially because they were down so much so fast in most of the games they played, which Ruben Bain would help with. He would help bolster their defense, give them a better pass rush, and hopefully get that point per game total down. So it's a difficult pick here for me. I don't think you can go wrong between the two, but I have them going Jeremiah Love in this mock draft. So, with the first 4 picks being done, we are going to move to our first set of underwriting announcements. Spring is finally here, and so is 1077 The Bronx Excellent Egg Hunt, which is today. That's right, it is finally the day. Join the Bronx on the Campus Mall on Tuesday, March 31st at 11 a.m. today to experience the event we won Best Giveaway for, the 2025 IBS Media Awards. There are 10,000 eggs, 20,000 pieces of candy, and a chance to win almost $40,000 in prizes, including our biggest and most iconic prizes, a Royal Caribbean cruise to the Bahamas provided by Josh Harry Travel, and a 1.77 carat diamond pendant from Peroni's Hidden Treasures. For all the deets, including everything to do and eat, go to 1077thebronx.com/egghunt. We'll be back with more Football Squared after these underwriting announcements on your 3-time 2026 IBS Media Broadcasting Award winner, 1077 The Bronx.
There's just something about Rider University that
Now for the journey of a life.
The 107.7 The Bronx has very exciting news. Our new video stream is officially live, as you can see. Now you can listen to The Bronx on air, online, and on app now. Watch your favorite student shows live on The Bronx YouTube channel and Facebook at 107.7 The Bronx, including Rider Ranks, O-Dog's Garden Salad, A Random After Party, Beyond the Score, and now Wake Up Rider. Keep it tuned to The Bronx and listen to and now watch your favorite student shows. Welcome back to Football Squared on your 5-time National Association of Broadcasters Marconi Radio Award nominated station, 107.7 The Bronx. So coming back, we are on the 5th overall pick of this post-combine mock draft, the New York Giants pick, and I have the Giants selecting Sonny Styles, linebacker from Ohio State. I did have them taking Caleb Downs in my last mock draft, but that was before Sonny Styles showed that he was the most athletically gifted human being on the planet at the combine. Bro is like 6'5", 250, 4'40", 42.5-inch vertical. The dude is a freak. He's a monster. On top of that, a report came out that Caleb Downs apparently has some sort of like degenerative knee issue that messes with his ACL. I don't know the exact details because it's very conflicting reports. There's rumors that it's not true. There's rumors that it is. Nothing's been fully confirmed yet. But that scares me way too much, especially when there's another generational-looking prospect in Sonny Styles. Now, granted, he plays a little lower than Caleb Downs. He wouldn't necessarily be any help in the secondary, which I do still think we could use. However, he is still a versatile linebacker. He can still play safety. Just because it's not his main position, just because he plays it less than Caleb Downs, doesn't mean he doesn't play there. He still plays at safety. We could have him as a linebacker, as an edge rusher. Put him in at nickel corner if you have to. He's that athletic. He's that talented. This guy is a generational prospect. And I just think based off physical attributes alone, especially considering the position that he has them at, it's so hard not to take him. So I have the Giants going him. Now, from here on out, I switched things up a little. I won't lie. This is a different mock draft. I'm very happy with how this one went. At 6, I have the Browns taking Carnell Tate, another Buckeye, the wide receiver from Ohio State. And I mean, just got to get Shedeur a weapon. I assume they're planning on going into this next season with Shedeur as their quarterback. And it's Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman as his 2 receivers. They don't have Njoku anymore. Harold Fannon's still good, but they don't have Njoku anymore. And sure, Dylan Sampson and Quinshon Judkins are good, but Judkins is better, and he's the one coming off a very serious knee injury. So they need to get Shedeur a receiver that he can rely on, because Jerry Jeudy, in my eyes at least, is not the most reliable receiver on the planet, and Carnell Tate would be. Carnell Tate would be that sure-handed receiver that Shedeur would be able to just throw to whenever he wanted to, and he would know that he would have him open. He would know for a fact that all he would have to do is throw that pass to Carnell Tate, and he'd come down with it. He has a huge frame. He's definitely not the fastest, but he certainly isn't the slowest either. So I think that that's a pretty easy pick in my mind, especially considering who's already gone off the board. At 7, I had the Washington Commanders taking David Bailey, the Texas Tech edge rusher. And their defense has been lacking for a few years now. They had a really good defense for a while there in like 2020, 2021. They had Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Chase Young. Their defense was still very, very good. It was one of the better ones in the league. But recently it's kind of fallen off, and Dan Quinn, as a defensive-minded coach, is going to want to get back into that kind of framework. He's going to want to give Jaden Daniels support through making the defense better, not adding more weapons around Daniels. So this, again, is another pretty surefire pick for me. If not him, they'll go Reuben Bain, who I actually have going next to the New Orleans Saints. For the Saints, they just lost Cameron Jordan, their longtime reliable edge rusher. They literally haven't had to worry about the position for like 15 years because of Cam Jordan. But now it's another position of need, and with Reuben Bain still on the board, a guy who I honestly feel could go top 5, I don't see them passing that up. I see them getting Reuben Bain. Him and Bailey are kind of interchangeable for me in terms of like talent. I think both of them are insanely good prospects. It kind of just comes down to personal preference. Then at pick 9, the Chiefs go Mansour Lane. They just traded Trent McDuffie to the Rams and lost Jalen Watson to the Rams through free agency. A lot of their secondary is gone, and if they go into next season with who they have right now, it's not going to be pretty. Excuse me. But they need to bolster that somehow, and Mansour Lane at 9 is perfect value for your pick because Mansour Lane is a phenomenal prospect at corner. But he also fills a hole that just opened up. They fix a problem that they literally just got, which is a very, very good way to run a team, I feel like. I think when something shows itself up, when, like, you have a weakness at a position or... God, excuse me. If you have a position where you feel like it needs to be upgraded or a player whose contract is running out and you know that you're going to have to either let him go or pay him a ton of money, I think that looking into the replacement as soon as possible is one of the most important things that a GM could do because it doesn't dig yourself too deep of a hole. If you let the problems keep stacking on themselves, it's going to dig yourself a hole that gets incredibly difficult to get out of, and that's why people get fired. That's why restarts happen, because you dig yourself way too deep of a hole. So I think that that's an issue that they need to get on now, and getting Delane at 9 would perfectly fix it. I don't have Caleb Downs dropping too far. I have him going to the Bengals at 10. This is almost as easy as the Mendoza pick, if I'm being honest. The Bengals defense has been garbage for God knows how long, and Caleb Downs, regardless on if he has that knee issue or not, is still a generational type prospect at safety. He's that Kyle Hamilton or that Nick Emanuori that teams so recently have grown to need. So... Getting a centerpiece for a very lacking defense would be a huge upgrade for that Bengals team, and I'm sure Joe Burrow would be very happy to have some kind of talent on the other side of the ball. Then I have the Dolphins going corner at 11. They take Tennessee cornerback Jermod McCoy. They have a ton of positions that they could go here. They have one of the weakest rosters in the league right now, especially after trading Jalen Waddle. I mean, your receivers are Tutu Atwell and Jalen Tolbert. Like, guys. Malik Willis is your quarterback. Can we please remember that? I don't think he's bad. I think he has a chance to be good, but not with a team like that, not with a receiving core like that. So I have them going corner, though, before they go receiver. I do have them going receiver on a later pick, but we will get to that later. But I have them going corner first. Then the Cowboys go with the Penn State offensive lineman Olavenga Ione. And I feel like they've gone offensive line a lot in the past 4 or 5 drafts, which is why this trend both makes sense and doesn't at the same time, if that makes any sense. Because on one hand, it's like, you know, they've constantly been trying to build their offensive line. It's still become an issue, despite all of the people they drafted, despite the fact that they have multiple good pieces on the line, it still is an issue. So on one hand, it's like they go offensive line again, they keep the trend up, they continue to try and improve that, or they break free and make a different decision and go with a different position. I had them breaking free last mock draft, which was Sonny Styles, but now I think he's going to go much higher than their pick. So I have them going back to going offensive line again. The next pick, I have the Rams going with USC wide receiver Mekhi Lemon. They've been looking into options to possibly trade Devontae Adams, and regardless on if they trade him or not, he's aging and is going to retire very soon. So they need to get his replacement and, I mean, keep the West Coast kid on the West Coast, you know? Mekhi Lemon has a great build for a receiver. He's fast, he's athletic. And he'd make a good partnership with Puka Nacua. I really like a partnership between him and Puka Nacua, especially if they keep Devontae Adams. If they keep Devontae Adams, that's one of the best receiving cores, if not the best in the league. And yeah, whether it's him or Jordan Tyson, who I have going to the Ravens at the next pick, I think that, at least for the purposes of this mock draft, having it go Lemon and then Tyson, just receiver back-to-back for Rams-Ravens, that's going to happen. Regardless on if it's Lemon Tyson, Tyson Lemon, I feel like if we're basing it off what's happened prior to this, this is what's going to happen. Both of these teams are in need of a receiver. The Rams need a compliment to Puka Nacua. The Ravens need, I don't know if I'd call it a compliment to Zay Flowers, because I don't really consider him to be a true wide receiver 1. He has way too many drop and fumble problems to be a wide receiver 1 in my eyes. But they'd get someone to not only compliment, but also compete for that wide receiver 1 position with Zay Flowers. So these two teams are going to go receiver, whether it's Tyson to the Rams or Ravens, or Lemon to the Rams or Ravens. It's going to be one of the two. Then the next pick 15, the Buccaneers go Keldrick Falk, the Auburn edge rusher. They lost a ton of defensive pieces in free agency. They brought in a couple, but it's like veteran signings, like Alex Anzalone at linebacker. So going with another one of the many explosive edge rushers that are in this draft would not only help boost their defense that they just lost out on massively, it would also, like I said earlier, complement their already superstar on the defensive line. It would complement Vita Vea at D-tackle, which I said a while ago now, this is going to be a draft where teams draft guys to complement others on that defensive line. And Keldrick Falk is that pick. I mean, if we look at the two previous defensive line picks that I've had, David Bailey goes onto the Washington line, and he complements Jerzon Newton and Daron Payne. And then Ruben Bain goes to the Saints and complements Brian Brzee. It's going to be a year where players go to teams and complement their already great players because it'll take pressure off of the one guy to make all of that production. I think teams are realizing that units are starting to become more valuable than workhorse players, which really sucks. And there is still a good share of workhorse players, of true guys that can just say, give me the ball and I'll win you the game. But units in wide receiver cores, in running back cores, you've seen tight end units, you've seen corner units. There's units now for every position group. And getting someone on the defensive line to take pressure off of one guy to get all of the pressure allows for so much more to come from other people because now they can't double team, they can't stack one area of the box. There's going to be multiple more weaknesses just because you're adding one player for someone to look out for. So like I said, this is going to be the year of people complementing on the defensive line, and the Buccaneers are not an exception to that. The Jets, I still have going Ty Simpson. This is the most obvious Jets pick of all time in my mind. They're going Ty Simpson. They're going to take a reach on a quarterback, and that's who it's going to be. The Lions, a lot of weird news kind of just came out about their split with offensive tackle Taylor Decker. Apparently, when they were going through contract negotiations, he just got ghosted by everyone, and nothing happened. No contact was made, no one reached out, and he left. That's really troubling. When you have issues front office-wise, it can completely topple an entire franchise. But regardless of that, since they did lose him, I think they're going to get an offensive tackle to add back to that line to re-complement someone with Penei Sewell, and they're going to go Spencer Fano from Utah. He's someone that could very well go top 10. With what teams need and what players are available, there's nowhere for him to go until the Lions in my eyes. And that would be a huge pickup. A lot with the later part of this draft is offensive linemen that fell a lot further than they probably should have. At 18, I have the Vikings going Dylan Thieneman, the safety from Oregon. Harrison Smith just left the team, and they're going to have to replace him. Simple as that. There's nothing really to read into or look into. There's no, maybe they're bringing in a guy to compete for the position, or, this guy's not doing well enough. They've officially replaced. No, the guy left. They had to replace him. They replaced him with Thieneman. It's a solid pickup at safety. Not a crazy different play style from Harrison Smith. Obviously, he's not Harrison Smith. I'm not saying this guy is Harrison Smith, but he'd fit right back into that team. It makes sense. And then this is a pick that I would love. I have the Panthers taking Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end. And this would be such a fun pick. If you turn that offense into Bryce Young, Chuba Hubbard, Tetairoa McMillan, Jalen Coker, Xavier Legette, Kenyon Sadiq, that is a fun offense. That is such a fun unit. I would love to see that. And I think Bryce Young would thrive by getting a tight end like Kenyon Sadiq. The Cowboys, with their next pick, they again add to their defense, which was god-awful last year, and take Avion Terrell, the Clemson corner who injured his hamstring while at his Pro Day 40. Again, I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. I still think he's going to be a good corner, which means it does suck that he's going to the Cowboys. But they need defense. They need defense so desperately, man. The next pick is at 21. The Steelers go Georgia offensive tackle Matt Freeling. They get someone who, I mean, look, they haven't officially done it yet, but the quarterback for next season is going to be Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to need to give that uncle everything that he can get. Because I don't understand how he was mobile at all the past 2 years, but this year there's no way he's going to have the kind of pocket movement and pocket presence that we're so used to seeing Aaron Rodgers have. So they need to protect their guy. They need to so badly. They already got their receiver in Michael Pittman, and now they're going to work on the offensive line. The Chargers boost an already stacked defense and get Akeem Mesidor from Miami, the edge rusher. He would be a compliment to Khalil Mack, who technically, again, like Rodgers, isn't back yet, but it's expected that the Chargers are going to make a heavy push to sign him. Whether they do or they don't, they either get a much-needed edge rusher if they don't, or they get a great compliment, like I said, to Khalil Mack if they do. The Eagles get another steal at pick 23, at least in my opinion, and another steal from Alabama at that. They go offensive tackle Caden Proctor. Lane Johnson's time with this team is probably almost up, and they still need another tackle as it is. So the fact that Proctor would fall to them really annoys me because this keeps happening. It happened last year with Jahad Campbell. It happened with Jalen Carter. It's going to keep happening. They're just going to keep falling to the Eagles. So the Eagles are going to get a top 15 talent at 23 in Caden Proctor at offensive tackle, at least in my mock draft. The Browns, with their second pick in the first round, go Caleb Lomu, Utah offensive tackle. They protect Shedeur Sanders. They give him time to throw to Cornell Tate. The Chicago Bears at pick 25 go defensive lineman Peter Woods. They build up that front seven and add to an already very good-looking defense. The Bills boost a wide receiver room that, not as much as it used to be in need of a wide receiver, is still in need of a complement, like I keep saying, to DJ Moore. Obviously, they still have Khalil Shakir, but that's the guy that you're going to be able to confidently put in the slot and have him as your safety valve. If you want to get a deep threat opposite of DJ Moore to take this offense to the next level, which I will say, I understand if they don't now that they have DJ Moore, I have them going Omar Cooper Jr. He really boosted his stock. I had him as an early second rounder. I have him as a late first rounder after the combine, and I think that the Bills are going to pick him up. Pairing him up in a receiving core that already has DJ Moore and Khalil Shakir, already has guys who can still be solid, like Keon Coleman, tight ends like Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, and James Cook at running back with Josh Allen commanding it all. That's a scary good offense. That is a very good offense. That might be the best receiving core that Josh Allen has ever had. If they can get that done, that team is immediately my Super Bowl favorite. They're already one of my favorites. I mean, I think they're most people's favorites, but if they can get Omar Cooper in the draft and add to an already stacked offense, that would be insane. I'm running out of time. I got to get through these last picks. At 27, the Niners go offensive tackle Bryce Miller out of Clemson. Trent Williams might be leaving. They might end up cutting him. They might end up trading him. Regardless, he's going to be a cap casualty. He's just really getting up there in age and taking up way more cap space than the Niners want him to. I mean, they need to make changes. They need to upgrade positions, and it's not worth paying him that much money anymore. So they're going to get Miller to go in and play for him once they get rid of Williams. And then all the offensive linemen are gone. So I wanted to have the Texans going O-linemen, but they couldn't. So instead I had them going Caden McDonald, D-line from Ohio State. They then have one of the greatest defensive lines in the league. They already have one of the best defenses in the league. And if they can add him to a D-line that already has Danielle Hunter and Will Campbell, that would be insane. The Chiefs, with their next pick, go TJ Parker, Clemson edge rusher. Add to their defense a defensive line that really wasn't the best with getting home to the quarterback last season, even with guys like George Karlaftis and Chris Jones. But Chris Jones, another guy who's really getting up there in age, and if your defensive tackle is going to need to have some slack picked up for him, you pick up an edge rusher to put next to him and pick up that slack. So TJ Parker to the Chiefs is the pick that I had them making. I had the Dolphins then addressing their incredibly weak receiving core at 30, and they go Denzel Boston, Washington wide receiver. Big 6'4" frame, target that Malik Willis can throw it up to and trust that he has good odds to come down with because of how tall he is and how big of a frame he has. They just need a receiver. It really doesn't matter who it is. The Dolphins are in desperate need of a receiver this draft, and it has to happen with one of their 2 first-round picks. And then for our last 2 picks, the 2 Super Bowl teams, I had the Patriots go Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the Toledo safety. They just lost Jalen Hawkins in free agency. They have guys at safety right now, but they're also getting up there in age, so they bring in a young guy who can learn behind the veterans and eventually become their starting safety. And then the Seahawks address a cornerback room that just lost Tariq Woolen and get Colton Hood from Tennessee to pair up with Devin Witherspoon. So, with that being said, that is the end of our football segment. We get to do our first soccer segment in a very long time now, so looking forward to that after this ad break. It's not every day we get to be a hero, so we're giving you 2 days to be a hero to 3 people all in one time. Announcing 1077 The Bronx annual Spring for Life blood drive, Wednesday and Thursday, April 8th and 9th in the BLC Cavala Room. Everyone who attempts to donate blood will get a pair of tickets to a Trenton Thunder game or passes to Sky Zone in Hamilton. At the end of the drive, 2 lucky Bronx will each score a $100 Visa gift card for being our hero. To schedule your appointment to donate blood, go to our website at 1077thebronx.com/springforlife. We'll be back with more Football Squared after these underwriting announcements. While you're waiting for the return of my show, follow The Bronx on Instagram at 1077thebronx and on TikTok at 1077thebronx WRRC.
Oh, it's so hot.
If you build it, our Rider Bronx will devour it. Introducing the contents that will cement your legacy at Rider University forever. Announcing 1077 The Bronx first ever Build the Ultimate Bronkwich competition. Be the Bronc who creates Rider's new signature sandwich to be served at Muller's Pub and on the Yo Cuz Yellow Food Trailer, and we'll send you and a guest on a Royal Caribbean for two to the Bahamas from Josh Harry Travel. However you slice it, this contest eats Bronx. Go to 1077thebronx.com/buildabronkwich for details on how you can enter to win. Welcome back to Football Squared on the Princeton Review's number 18th ranked best college radio station, 1077 The Bronx. So, we are finally able to get back into some soccer news. We've covered all of the missing details from NFL free agency, and to kick it off, we got a bit of a bombshell. I know that we usually do news at the end of this segment, but Igor Tudor has been sacked as Tottenham interim manager, and they are expected to bring in Roberto De Zerbi. The former Brighton and Marseille manager comes in hoping to save Tottenham from a relegation battle that they are currently stuck in. That's unbelievable to me still, that one of the top 6 teams is currently fighting to not get relegated, but it's also hilarious. So we'll see what he can do. The thing with De Zerbi is that everywhere he goes, it ends in controversy. I don't understand why, but it always seems like there's something with that guy that just pulls controversy with him to every team he goes to. So can he save them? Maybe. He's definitely not a bad manager. Will he save them? We're just going to have to wait and see. So we are going to get into our previous match week of games, and it kicked off with a bit of a crazy one between Bournemouth and Man United. They drew 2-2. Ryan Christie and Junior Krupi with the 2 goals for Bournemouth. Meanwhile, for United, it was a Bruno Fernandes pen and a James Hill own goal that equalized the score with Bournemouth. On top of that, Harry Maguire was sent off with a red card in the 78th minute. Man of the match there will go to Bruno Fernandes, and United drop a crucial game in terms of points that would get them closer to the top 4, and they are currently still fighting with Villa, Liverpool, and Chelsea to finish in those Champions League spots. So a massive drop there for United, but not as big of a drop as it was for Liverpool, who lost 2-1 to Brighton. A Danny Welbeck brace in the 14th minute and 56th minute was enough for the win and a Man of the Match award. Liverpool's lone goal scorer was Milos Kerkez in the 30th minute. I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with this team. We can go from looking like the best team in the world and destroying Galatasaray on a UCL night to playing Brighton and getting dog walked. I'm done with Arne Slot. He is ruining the potential of everyone on this team. I want him out. I want Xabi Alonso in. And we'll be back because we're really bad right now. Just unbelievably inconsistent. We look lethargic on the field. It's like we can't make the right passes. People are walking around. I don't know what the scheme is from Arne Slot, but it's not a good one. It's not a good one. Next up, we had Fulham taking it to Burnley and winning 3-1. Goals from Josh King, Harry Wilson, and Raul Jimenez was enough to give Fulham the win and propel them further into the top 10. Fulham have had a very fringe season. They've been extremely on and off. They've constantly been in that mid-table area, but they're finally starting to pick it up. If they can get a little more consistent, then who knows, maybe they could finish in a conference or even Europa League spot by the end of the season. Burnley are just, it's the newly promoted team. The newly promoted teams usually do bad. Sunderland have broken that. Sunderland have been doing pretty decently, at least this season. Leeds recently have pulled themselves away from the relegation zone, so it's not all newly promoted teams. Next match, a bit of a crazy finish. Not in terms of how many goals were scored, but in terms of who won. Granted, still a lot of goals scored, but 3-0 Everton take down Chelsea. That's right. Bottom 10 Everton take down fighting for top 4 Chelsea. It was 3-0. A brace from Beto in the 33rd and 62nd minute, which got him the Man of the Match award, and a goal from Iliman Ndiaye in the 76th minute. Chelsea, I don't know, man. They started off so good with Rosenoir when he came in, and they were doing phenomenally, and all of a sudden they've just completely fallen off. They haven't been able to do anything. They've been really bad. So I don't know what's up with them, but they got to get their stuff together. Man City and Crystal Palace were supposed to play this week, but their game was canceled. It's currently being rescheduled, and we will have more news about it when they release it. One less game to cover, I guess. Leeds versus Brentford, there was no postponed there, but there might as well have been. A 0-0 final score, both teams draw, and man of the match goes to Brentford keeper and former Red, Quaveen Kelleher, the Irishman. Love to see him doing great. I have nothing but love for Quaveen. He was an incredible backup option whenever Allison would get hurt, and I'm really happy to see him doing well. Just a snooze fest, man. 0-0, goalkeeper man of the match. I mean, if you're a fan of goalkeepers, it was a great game, but otherwise, pretty boring match there. And then our Sunday games. We had 3 Sunday games. Sunderland took down rivals Newcastle 2-1. Goals courtesy of Talby and Brian Brobby with the winner in the 90th minute. The lone goal scorer and man of the match in a losing effort for Newcastle was Anthony Gordon. And Newcastle have just been so underwhelming this year. They're bottom of the table. They're near bottom of the table. I get losing Alex Isak was big for them, but it's not like Nick Voltemade has been bad. He's been a good replacement. So I don't know what's going on there, but a team that was supposed to be at least really solid has not been good at all this year. Second to last game, Aston Villa took down West Ham 2-0. Goals from John McGinn and Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins winning man of the match. And then our final game being Spurs losing 3-0 to bottom of the table Nottingham Forest. Igor Jesus in the 45th minute put Nottingham Forest ahead. Morgan Gibbs-White gave them a second goal in the 62nd. And Taiwo Awoniyi put the game away in the 87th minute. Man of the match there goes to attacking midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White, who had 1 goal on the game. And Spurs are just embarrassing, man. They are embarrassingly bad. They honestly might get relegated. I really can't believe it. I can't believe that there is a genuine possibility that Spurs get relegated, but anything can happen, I guess. Anything can happen. So, that's all I got this week. There's honestly not a ton of news going on in the Premier League. Everyone's staying relatively healthy. Mo Salah, I know that. Mo Salah's supposed to come back in Liverpool's next game after being out with injury. That was it. I forgot the most important news. But I guess, okay, it was best I saved this for last. But ladies and gentlemen, Mohamed Salah has officially announced that he will be leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. My Egyptian king, he's leaving. I really thought that this was going to be delayed by a season after he got his new contract. But I'm so sad. I'm so sad, dude. This is the guy that got me into soccer. I watched him score a goal live. It's so sad. I'm so sad that Salah's leaving. I know he's never going to hear this, but thank you so much. You finally brought Liverpool back to English glory, to European glory, got us 2 Premier Leagues and a UCL, and you will forever be a legend to Liverpool fans. Thank you so much, Mohamed Salah, and you will be dearly, dearly missed on the right wing. So, we're entering a new era with Liverpool. Van Dijk's going to leave anytime soon. Alisson's going to leave anytime soon. And we will be without the keystone pieces of this team for the first time in a very long time. Andy Robertson, too. He's getting ready to leave any season as well. So it's going to be really weird. And this one hurts. Bye, Mo. Goodbye. I'm going to miss you. That's officially it for the show. I can't believe I forgot the most important bit of news. What's wrong with me? I'm such a bad anchor. Thank you so much again for tuning in week in and week out to watch me be an idiot on camera for an hour. I appreciate you listening to me rant for another week. Make sure to listen every Tuesday from 10 to 11 a.m. Stay tuned for more of the biggest hits and the best variety on the Princeton Review's number 18th best college radio station, 3-time 2026 IBS Media Award winner, and 5-time NAB Marconi Radio Award nominee for College Radio Station of the Year, 107.7 The Bronx. And don't forget, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Excellent Egg Hunt is today at Rider University on the campus mall. Enjoy the food trucks, enjoy the activities, and I'll see any of you who come here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you all next week.
You're stepping into the ring with 107.7 The Bronx, WRRC-FM, straight out of Lawrenceville,